Hey everybody, this is Wileen Benson, and I have just a little something that I want to share with you guys. I've been really considering the word should, and I know a lot of times if somebody says they should, then you'll get corrected if you're involved, if you're with someone who's highly conscious and is in the self-improvement arena, and they're like, oh, you shouldn't should on yourself, and you shouldn't say should, you're perfect the way you are, and all of that. And I bought into that too, and I am really conscious about, like, when I create my new beliefs and new declarations for myself and things that I want to, when I want to move forward with new understanding, new way of thinking, I usually don't use that word should. And so I do encourage to always be present with your new beliefs, with your new declarations, all of those things that we talk about. And when we say should, I should do this, that's not being present. That's like, yeah, I should do it. At some point in the future, I'm going to do this. So there definitely is still ways that you can use that word should that would limit you or would slow you down from moving forward. But I want to just shed a little bit of light on this word from a different perspective and just see if maybe this will give you some new insight into how you can know if you are living at your highest and best. Because that is our ultimate goal, is that we are in integrity with the highest and best that we can be. The way that we act on the outside, the way that we show up for people, the environment that we create for ourselves, our beliefs, everything is in alignment with the highest and best that we can be. And that's kind of where I'm going with this idea of should being a good thing, something that we can actually get some information from. I do something that I call a purpose call. And I've done, I don't know, probably over 200 of these with different people. And every single person is different. Every single person has unique gifts. And it's amazing to me that of all the people, and I know I could do 10,000 of these calls and every single one would be different, because every single person has unique gifts and every single person has a unique purpose. One of the questions that I ask them is, what is some feedback that you get quite often from other people that feels a little bit like criticism or judgment? And I always follow that up with, it usually starts with you should or you need to, okay? And they'll come back with things like, you should not be so intense, you should listen more, whatever it is that you hear. And it's usually people that are close to you that you hear these suggestions from quite often. And so I'm just going to ask you to take a moment right now and just ask yourself that question. What feedback do you hear from other people quite often that feels like judgment or criticism? And it usually starts with you should or you need to. So just take a moment and jot down, just first thing that comes to mind. There's usually one or two things that are just like top of mind. Oh yeah, my husband always says this, or yeah, my coworker is always saying that I need to do this. Okay, so just write that down, because then I'm going to share with you kind of what the meaning behind that is and why I asked that in my purpose call, and this may give you a little bit of insight. The other question that I ask is, what is some feedback that you give yourself? And it usually starts with, I should, oh yeah, I really need to this, or I should this. Okay, so just take a moment right now. What is the first thing that comes to mind that you are constantly telling yourself, oh my gosh, I really should what? And so write that down. And I'm going to share with you, I just printed a random notes from a purpose call that I did with someone just in the last couple of weeks. And I want to share with you the answers that I got when I asked this question from this person. And hopefully this is going to be able to show you the value of asking that question, should, or listening when somebody says you should, or listening when you say to yourself, I should. Okay. So for this particular person, her feedback from other people is you shouldn't be so intense and you can't take a joke. Okay, so this person, you should be less intense and you should be able to take a joke. Okay, that was the feedback that she gets from people that are close to her. And then the feedback that she gave herself was, I should be more organized. I need to spend less time on social media and be more productive. And I should be more present with my family. So those are her shoulds. The things that she felt like she should do is to be more organized, spend less time on social media, be more productive, and I should be more present with my family. Okay, so those were her shoulds. Oh, another one was, you get upset too easily. We have to walk on eggshells. Okay, so that was some feedback that she got from other people. Now, this feedback to her, you know, when I asked, and most of the purpose calls that I do, when I ask this question, usually the people feel a little bit embarrassed, a little bit nervous about sharing that. They feel like they're being vulnerable by sharing, you know, this kind of deep, dark secret about themselves. But this is really good clues. The reason why I asked it is because they're really good clues for me to know how they are naturally gifted. And kind of interesting, you know, way to look at this from an opposite perspective. But what we discovered as we started diving in more into her natural gifts was that she is sensitive to people understanding and responding to her. Okay, so if we go back to, you get upset too easily, I have to walk on eggshells, you're too intense and can't take a joke. So this word intense, sensitive, you could use that in two different ways. You know, there's a positive way of being sensitive where you're super aware of other people's feelings. She also said that she's empathic. Another word that she used that we found was, I'm hyper aware of myself and my relationship to me, my relationship to others, and my relationship to my surroundings. Even like my relationship to my clothing, to my food, the food that I choose, even down to the shampoo I use. It's so important to be true to me that, you know, even down to the shampoo she uses and the type of fabric that she allows next to her skin, that there's that much integrity that she has with herself, that she is so sensitive to that. And so if you look at that on the positive side, someone who is just hyper aware and super sensitive, it's almost like a superpower that they have of being sensitive. And then on the dark side, on the negative side, we've got somebody who's really sensitive, can't take a joke, gets upset easily, you have to walk on eggshells, and they're very intense. Do you see the correlation? Do you see like one is on the light side and one is on the dark side? So if there's something that you're hearing from people on a regular basis, this is a clue to how you are genius. And all you've been doing is just showing up on the dark side. So if you're getting negative feedback that feels like judgment or criticism, basically what you're doing is, this is how you come across when you're not living in alignment with your purpose, when you're not living in alignment with your natural gifts, when you're out of alignment, when you're out of integrity with the highest and best version of you. You're just living on the dark side. So if you can look at that feedback that you got from other people that you wrote down, now flip it over and find what the light side of that is, and then you can see that's a clue to how you can show up in a positive way that is going to be really in alignment with your natural gifts. Okay? So same thing on the feedback for yourself. The feedback that she gave was, I should get more organized. I need to spend less time on social media and be more productive. I need to be more present with my family. So for her most important things were to be sensitive and aware. And being sensitive and aware, she was actually separating herself from her family because she was so aware of the negative things. She was so aware of the ways that her family was showing up and that bugged her, that she actually separated herself from her family. So now that she realizes that she's got this gift of being hyper aware and very sensitive and empathic, now she can actually use this gift in a way to connect with her family. So if they're showing up in a way that in the past might have irritated her, or she got really upset about that, she can realize that by getting upset and, taking things too seriously and, not being able to take a joke, not bringing a sense of humor into it or whatever, that she was living outside of her natural gifts, now she can actually show up in a more positive and light way that is sensitive, hyper aware, being aware of how they might feel, being aware of her connection with her family, with that individual that was maybe bugging her a little bit, and she can show up a lot differently. And the awesome part about that is because she is so super hyper aware and in integrity and knows what the truth is for her, that now she can actually look at other people and say, wow, they have their own truth. They have a way that they get to show up that is integrity with them. And now I can kind of meet them in the middle. We can meet on common ground, and I can recognize that they have their set of beliefs and their way, that feels good to them. And I have my set of beliefs, and I have my way that feels good to me. And I'm going to allow them to be in integrity with them, and I'm going to be in integrity with me. So this word should is really powerful, because if you hear somebody saying, you should be blah, 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 then you can look at that and say, wow, thank you. That actually, kind of felt a little bit like criticism, but I realized I'm coming across in a way that is outside of my natural gifts, that is out of alignment. So if I can flip that on its head and I can look at it from a total opposite perspective, the opposition of the way that you've been showing up, and find out what those natural gifts are. And then the feedback that you're giving yourself when you're saying, oh, I really need to get more organized, or I really need to, be nicer to my family, or whatever it is, just recognize that this is the byproduct of not showing up in 100% alignment. So the feedback from others that they're saying that you should is gives you a clue to the how you're showing up maybe on the dark side of your gifts, and flip it over onto the light so you can find what your gifts are. And then when you start showing up in those gifts, then you're not going to come across as somebody who is, you're not going to get that feedback anymore. Okay. So when I am now in my GPS, my grounding, my gratitude, prayer, and scriptures every morning, and doing my meditations, finding those that highest truth for me, then I might even ask that question: what should I be doing that is more in alignment with my natural gifts and my purpose, my mission, my calling, who I am at my highest and best, and what is one thing that I can do? What was one habit that I can put into place? What's one action step that I can take today that will allow me to be more in alignment with that highest and best person? So hopefully that gave you a little bit of insight into that word should. Should was never meant, I don't think, to bring people to shame. I believe that God gave us all of our emotions, and they're all good. Guilt can be a really good emotion when if it's used in a way that helps you to recognize how you are showing up out of alignment with your highest and best self and with your natural gifts. So if you can use anytime you're telling yourself, oh, dang it, I really should this, don't go to shame, or don't revel in, the problem. Just allow yourself to say, well, how should I be showing up? If I really should be doing this, then maybe I should start doing it. And then find, just ask for what a next step is. Ask for a shortcut on how you can become more in alignment. Ask for what is the new habit that you can put into place that would allow you to step back into your natural gifts. If you have any questions about this information, or just have some comments that you would like to make, feel free to reach out to me. You can go to my website, WileenBenson.com, and there's a little button on the homepage that says Let's Talk, or you can go to the little contact page and send me an email. I would love to hear your comments. I would love to talk with you if you are in a position right now where you're feeling like, you are telling yourself that you should, and you don't really know what the next step is. You're having a hard time really seeing the light side. You're kind of showing up on the dark side of your natural gifts, but you're having a hard time really seeing what those natural gifts are. Let's just chat for about 15 minutes and just see what your next steps might be. I know from experience, from my own personal experience, and also working with so many clients, hundreds of clients, and helping them discover who they really are as their highest and best, that a 45-minute phone call is all it takes to really identify your natural gifts, really know what your purpose, your mission, and your calling are, and to be able to choose to step fully into that. And then you're going to be showing up in a much more authentic way to you, and coming across as someone who is powerful and just ready to take on the world and ready to change the world. Thank you for joining me tonight, and look forward to hearing from you.